Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the Buffett and Beyond Research Stock of the Week, and we are going over Google. And folks, it's up 240% over the past 5 years. And today's May 23rd, 2026. And remember, if you want to walk on this beach like Jimmy Buffett once did, you've got to learn how to invest even better than Warren Buffett does now. And, well, let's see what's going on here. And, of course, the name of the company is really Alphabet. So Alphabet Inc. is the successor and parent holding company of Google Inc. And the company reports Google in two segments, Google Services and Google Cloud. Boy, that's where the money is, isn't it, folks? Along with the services, all non-Google businesses, including Waymo, self-driving cars, right, are grouped as other bets. Now, the company derives revenues primarily through delivering targeted advertising, and boy, does it get that right. Sure targets the things that I'm looking up on the internet. And the revenues in the U.S., 48%, and international, 52%. It has about 190,001 employees. Now, we were talking about during the week about international investing. But the thing is that so many American companies have their exposure overseas that markets have become correlated. And the only reason you invested overseas was for the non-correlation. In other words, if the market in the U.S. goes down, there are other markets around the world that go up. Well, that non-correlation is becoming less and less and less because the economies are so intertwined throughout the world. So we're looking at, again, right here, revenues from the U.S., 48%, and international, 52%. So that's the kind of thing that we're talking about, these international companies, U.S. companies that are really international companies. And on the silicon side, Alphabet is reportedly in talks with Marvell Technology to co-develop a memory processing unit and a new tensor processing unit, TPU, and the custom AI chip that Alphabet has. Oh, so look, it's in the microprocessing business, isn't it? And it's been building it for a decade with the targeted 2027 launch. That's just next year, so folks. Now, the partnership builds on existing relationships with Broadcom, locked in through 2031, and with MediaTek for cost-optimized variants targeting a 20 to 30% reduction in compute costs. And that matters as generative AI queries become the default customer interface or consumer interface and threatens the search gross margins of Google search. So, yeah, I go to OpenAI and click and do so much of my searching there rather than using Google Chrome. So that's one of the things they have to think about. Does this generative AI become a competition for itself? And let us look at the clean surplus ROE. So we're comparing Google with the average large cap stock and the clean surplus ROE. And think of it this way, folks. Now, this is not the traditional accounting ROE, so please do not get them mixed up. Totally, totally different. So the average stock has a 13.5% clean surplus ROE, while Google has a 23.4%. And to get into our growth portfolio, we like to see clean surplus ROE of 20% or better. So the 3-year or the 5-year average, 23.4%. Think of clean surplus ROE as your bank account. Would you rather put your money in a bank account that's earning you 13.5% or one that's earning you 23%? That's the first indication that you might have a better stock than the average stock out there. Because remember, 96% of professional money managers cannot outperform this S&P 500 over any 10-year period. 96% of the professional money managers could not, I know I'm repeating myself, but cannot outperform this S&P 500. That's why we want stocks with higher clean surplus ROEs than the average stock, because now clean surplus ROE, clean surplus part, is a comparable return on equity. Now, the net income, average stock 13%, net income for Google 24.7%. Now, remember, net income is earnings after non-recurring items and the cost for those options out there that they use for incentives for management, etc., future liabilities all come out of earnings, and that's when you get net income. So it's really measuring the true performance of the company before all the other stuff gets thrown in. And revenue, average stock or average large cap stock, 7.1%. Google is 15.6%. In other words, more than double the average stock, the revenue. You need the revenue to bring it back down to the bottom line so that you have a better bottom line than the average company out there. And when we just look at it in another way, we looking at it year by year in here, and we can see that this clean surplus ROE has been pretty consistent all the way up. And for next year, 2027, you're looking at almost 22%. And if any of the risks that, or the other bets that they call it, if those other bets start paying off, then we're going to see this number come up. We're going to see this net income number come up. Retention rate, 94%. That means it's taking almost everything it makes and putting it back into itself in order to grow. And the other thing that we look at, years to pay debt. It's a very, very simple formula, but you take how many years, if it took all the money it was making, how many years would it take to pay off debt? Buffett's rule of thumb is 5 years or less. Our rule of thumb is 3 years or less, and this company can pay off its debt in about 3 or 4 months. So that's the kind of thing you want to look at. And recent dividend is almost nil, and that's what we like to see in a growth company. We don't want to see a growth company paying out a dividend. We want to see it putting all the money that it makes back into itself in order to grow. And when we look at 1 year return, black line is the S&P 500 down here, returning 26% over 1 year, which is very good, folks. But look what's Google doing, 131% over that same 1 year period. So we're looking at what, more than 5 times that of the average stock in the S&P 500. And over 5 years, it's up 239, call it 240%, while the market is up about 78%. So yeah, it's doing very, very well, folks. So even as large as this company is, it keeps progressing and it keeps on top of things. So it's making chips, it's making driverless car, or making the software for driverless cars. And right now, folks, it's doing everything right. So it's a good company, especially this past 2 years in here. Yeah, doing very, very well. So, folks, remember our goal. Our goal is to build your wealth faster and safer, because Google is such a large company and has income coming in from several different areas. Therefore, it becomes a safer company the more areas it's into. So our goal, build our wealth faster and safer with better than average stocks. So, folks, we had a good week this week, and if you want to go see these birds on the beach and take your mind off the market, do just that. Be with your loved ones over the weekend. Most of all, stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you back here in a couple of days.